Hello and welcome to my video ranking all of the 2022 summer minifigures. In this video I'll be going through them all, starting at the worst with the 42nd minifigure and going up to the best. This does include some of the minifigures from May, and I do have in-depths out on most of these sets, and ones that aren't will be coming out in the next couple of days if you want to go and check those out. And subscribe for future ones and future videos of ranking the minifigures. So I'm going to start off with 42nd, Battledroid. It's nothing fancy. A lot of these minifigures back end just don't really have anything going for them, and are either being used a lot of times or just aren't very detailed, so I'll kind of blitz through them. And then in 41st we have the, it's Chewbacca. It's nothing fancy and really need to be. It gets the job done, but we've had it for quite a long time, so nothing really new. And then the Luke Skywalker from the Land Speeder, and it's kind of disappointing for a UCS set, like no arm printing, and doesn't stand out, especially considering it's from a UCS set. We have a Princess Leia minifigure. This is from Solid Brick Studios video. It's because LEGO didn't release any official images of the minifigures for a bunch of the diorama sets. I've just used those from his videos if you want to go and check those out. But yeah, nothing fancy for this minifigure. Then we have Wicket, and it is nicely detailed, more so than previous versions, but it's just not a great minifigure, and there's no lot of detail. It's mainly the mold that makes it special. And then we have Luke Skywalker, nice amount of detail, just nothing really stands out, and I suppose that's what kind of defines the back end of this list. And then we have the Atsd Pilot. It is quite nicely detailed. I do like the helmet piece, but it's been around for a while. And the grey, it's quite, no leg printing as well. It is kind of disappointing, would have expected that. And then Scout Trooper, I just really like the Scout Trooper minifigures. It's nothing new and nothing fancy, but it is quite a good minifigure in my opinion. And we have Obi-Wan Kenobi's droid. It is the R4P17, and droids generally aren't anything good or fancy. This one's pretty much the same as the one from 2017. There's not really any main changes, so it kind of just doesn't matter that much. Then we have Darth Vader. Does have the arm printing, which is nice to see, and it is kind of weird the way that they sometimes put on arm printing, sometimes don't. It's quite random. I don't really know how they decide to do it, but hopefully we'll see it more in the future, and maybe if they put it on all Darth Vader minifigures, that would be nice. Then we have the Hanzo minifigure, and this is quite cool. I do like the newish Stormtrooper armor with the white hip piece. It does look all very bright though, but it is quite nice. And then the same for the Luke Skywalker minifigure. Nothing really in between these two, just pretty much the exact same other than the faces, and they both have two faces, which is quite nice from LEGO. Then we have the R2-D2. Normally these would be at the back of the list, but I do like the back printing. This is a new thing for R2-D2. I prefer the clean version. I think it looks nicer, because my problem with the mud version is on the front and back, it's only where the rest of the printing is, so it doesn't look as muddy. It looks like only there's muddy when it should be the rest of it. It kind of loses the effect due to parts of it being entirely just white and no mud on them. And then we have the C-3PO. This one doesn't have the dual molded leg. That one is much further up the list, but this one does have arm printing, which is quite a nice feature. It just, compared to the one with the dual molded leg, doesn't really matter, especially when they're both released in the same year. LEGO has been doing C-3POs for as long as they've done LEGO Star Wars. It's kind of weird that only recently we've got the arm printing in more sets. And then we have Yoda. Nothing fancy. Is quite a nice minifigure though. I do like the wee necklace with the pipes or whatever they are, and that is quite a nice feature that they've included. Then we have the Talon minifigure, and I don't know, it's just the lack of detail. It gets the job done. You can easily tell who it is, and it works well. It just doesn't have too much detail, so that's why it's further down the list. And then Obi-Wan Kenobi. Quite a lot of Obi-Wan Kenobis on this list with the new show, but this is probably my least favourite, just due to it being nicely detailed, but it's not an iconic one compared to a couple of the others on this list. In 25th we have Antburu, and I don't like the big wedge piece with no printing. It just really doesn't look good in my opinion. It is nicely detailed with the face printing and the two sides. I do think it is a really well detailed minifigure. It's just I don't like you know, with the normal legs, at least there's like shaping, whereas with this it's just a flat block and it makes the whole minifigure very flat. Then we have Liffin Rail, I believe, and is quite a nice minifigure. The olive green is not a very normal colour that we see too often in LEGO Star Wars minifigures, and it is quite good. It's very nicely detailed. It does look kind of like an army officer, which may be accurate, don't know. The new trailer was released today if you want to go check it out, because he does appear in it and it does look fairly accurate to him in it. And then we have Hunter. I've seen him before. It is a really good minifigure. Like, it is a really high standard one, other than like lack of arm printing and helmet, but like the printing's really good. It's been done before, and the fact that his face printing also makes it like a really good minifigure, but it's been done before last year. And then we have Omega, and this one arguably should be further up the list. I just don't think there's enough detail. The arm printing is a really nice touch though, and it's something that LEGO has done kind of more often than I think they would normally do in this wave. But the face printing is where it lacks, in my opinion. There's no like details that aren't there, just the eyes, eyebrows and mouth. There's no like, I don't know, lines to indicate the angularity of the face. But the hairpiece is nice. It's just that the fact that it is so lacking in detail kind of makes it lose its character. But anyway, in 21st position we have another Obi-Wan Kenobi, and this one is from the Camino set, so it's like a different era, so it has the different hairpiece. And I do quite like the coat. It also comes with like the hood, which is quite a nice feature. And yeah, it doesn't look as good as some of the other ones, and it is a good minifigure, nicely detailed, just nothing extremely fancy. Then we have R2-D2. This one is my favourite R2-D2 they've ever done because of the back printing. Really well detailed. It is quite nice that they finally did it. Obviously no third leg, kind of disappointing, but it would mean they'd have to mold a special piece, which is something LEGO doesn't generally do that often. But it is a really good minifigure, and I think that's why it deserves to be so far up this list, with the fact that it now has back printing. Then we have Fenix Shand, and this is one of the very good minifigure, just been seen I think 2 times before. Really, the fact that I believe it does come with the hairpiece and the helmet, that's the first time it'll come with hairpiece and the helmet in the Justifier. It's quite nice, but I do like the arm printing, and like it is a very well done minifigure, especially like the leg and torso details. Then we have an 18th BD1. It is quite cool the way that he comes with like his own statue, but admittedly maybe the only Fallen Order set with the box art. But anyway, go check out my in-depth if you want to hear more about that. But yeah, it is quite a cool minifigure. I do like the mini molds, and it is nice that they at least made a mini mold instead of going brick built, because the brick built one would have been quite far to scale in my opinion. Cassian Andor minifigure is pretty cool. I like the like greenish highlight bits, and his gold belt looks really nice on like the mainly brown and grey background. Face printing is kind of lacking, but I do think that it has some, like it has a couple lines to kind of show his face shape, which is quite nice, and he does come with quite extensive leg printing compared to some of the other ones on this list. In 16th we have Mace Windu, and it is a very nice minifigure. Like the arm printing looks really cool. Admittedly, the face doesn't look too Clone Wars-esque, which kind of disappointing, like I suppose because the fact it doesn't have like the old eyes from the Clone Wars, which didn't look great, but it made it like you could tell it was from the Clone Wars. But the fact that this one doesn't kind of makes it look less like it's from the Clone Wars. But with the arm printing, it does kind of fix that, and it does make this minifigure slightly more impressive than most Mace Windus are, especially considering they didn't put it in the UCS gunship, and it's kind of problem with LEGO. But anyway, and we have in 15th Cyril Corn, and this is a minifigure. His hat looks quite nice with the orange. I do really like the orangey yellow like highlights that work really well, but albeit it doesn't have much printing, but it just kind of stands out as a minifigure and is quite accurate to what you see in the show. So I don't know, it's like not a fancy minifigure, but the way they've done it does convey the right amount of detail in my opinion. In 14th, Toto 360. It is quite a nice mini mold. It is really small though whenever you actually see it next to a minifigure. but there is some printing. It's just the fact that they did a mold, which is why it's kind of higher on this list than what you might expect. Then we come to Tonwi, and this is a minifigure that probably could have been higher up the list. It's just, I think, right, there was like the mini doll fake leak that was a long time ago. I think that looked better. I think the height for that minifigure worked better, because this doesn't like fit the way the Kaminoans look, because they're like really thin and tall, whereas this is the same width and they're not really that tall actually. They're only like an extra head higher than what they would normally be, which kind of defeats the purpose of them being like really tall and thin. It doesn't convey the actual accuracy, whereas had they gone with the mini dolls, it would have looked much better. That's why it's not as high on the list as I would like to be, albeit the new head and neck mold is quite cool. Then we have the C-3PO, and the geo-molded leg and the printing, the arm printing's really cool. Like the torso printing's nicely detailed with like an extra color of gold for extra detail, but the side leg printing, like, it is ridiculously cool. Very rare for Legos to do this, and it is really well done. And the grey looks so nice, like you can tell because there's like a spot on the legs. You can see there's like a section where there's no printing because Lego just can't print on there for some reason. But that's why this one works really well. Being dual molded leg means it actually does look like it's fully silver or grey. Might have been nice had it been slightly shiny, but anyway. Then we have the highest Obi-Wan Kenobi, and this one I like because the blue stands out. It looks different from other Obi-Wan Kenobis, and that is why I rated it higher than the rest of them. Also, his like kind of cape thing looks pretty cool in my opinion as well, and kind of makes it look really accurate. And the hairpiece, well, albeit on a different minifigure, also works quite good. Then in 10th we have Revo Riva, and I do like this minifigure. It just doesn't have too much detail. It's immediately obvious who it is. The fact that it's an Inquisitor, the hairpiece looks really nice, and the torso printing's good, does make it a nice minifigure, but the leg printing is lacking, and that's kind of disappointing, especially considering that they probably could have really easily done so. Anyway, in 9th we have the 187th Commander, normally an airborne trooper. I don't know why they've called it a commander in this set, but you can see him here. He looks really cool in my opinion. I think the way that they've done it, like the purple and blue highlights, works really well, and it does work really nicely. Admittedly, I do think the normal one's better. It's a couple positions up the list, but anyway, it does look pretty cool here, especially like the tan like straps and stuff looks good, and kind of wish they'd gone back to the old fabric pieces they used to have. I think it was like 2013. It's been ages since they had them, and I don't really know why they left them. They were pretty cool. In 8th we have Ned B, and Ned B is quite a nice minifigure. I do think the mold for his helm, head and the shoulders and stuff looks really nice, and his hammer's really nicely built. Leg printing's detailed. I like the mismatched arms. It does look quite cool the way they've done that accurately. It does come with a backpack, and it's a really well done minifigure, one that's maybe surprisingly so. I've had not done the mold, it would have looked so bad. But anyway, yeah. In 7th we have the 212th Trooper, new helmet, which doesn't look great, but the 212th Trooper is really nice in my opinion, and is really well detailed with all the battle damage, and you get 3 of them in the set, and it is the set's basically, I'm pretty sure it's already sold out, so it's doing pretty well for popularity. Then in 6th we have another clone trooper, the clone gunner, 212th clone gunner, but there's no difference between him and a normal gunner, so don't know why they call him a 212th clone gunner on the box, but doesn't really matter. It's nicely detailed. I like it. Just looks slightly better in my opinion than the other one. A lot of clones in the top 10 because it is really popular, and I like them as well. And I think the detail they've got on all of them is quite good, and I think they all look really nice. Then we have Cad Bane. Cad Bane minifigure is really cool in my opinion. The detail on his torso is nice. The new pipe pieces, they're pretty cool. I do think they're slightly lighter silver than the rest of his darker chrome grey bit. I think the lighter grey looks slightly better, but anyway, the new, probably new hat piece, I'm not entirely sure, but it is really nice. It's like slightly more smaller than the previous ones we've had on him. The two blasters, and it just really looks like Cad Bane. It's really nicely detailed and something that they've done quite impressively. In fourth, we have the 187th Clone Trooper. I really like it. The light blue highlights, I think, and the purple work really well together, in my opinion. And it just makes it like it really stands out because of the bright highlights on it. In third, we have the Grand Inquisitor. The Grand Inquisitor is one of the better minifigures from the wave. The face print is slightly lacking, but it is still really cool, really well detailed. Like, you can kind of tell, like, the glare. It does kind of convey the way he acts in the show. And you can see the new, like, torso piece looks really nicely. The shoulders, the, like, wee Grand Inquisitor insignia. Really, really well done. And the rest of the torso printing is really good. The fact that they printed underneath it's really good. The cape is really nicely scaled. The fact that they went with a special cape for him. It all adds up to being really, really high quality minifigure. Lightsaber works well, albeit not like specific for him, but what we're expecting. In second, we have Commander Cody. I'm sure a lot of people probably expected him to be first, but I just think the new, like, a new Violet piece does look really good. Really nice that they've finally done it, but it's not perfectly accurate. It's too big. And I don't really like the orange arms. I could have gone with like printed ones that just would have looked so much better, but it would have made it stand out slightly. But still, the fact that they went with white arms on the normal 212 Trooper, then went with orange ones on this, kind of makes it think that maybe printed ones would have worked better. But anyway, leg printing is really good as well. It does have really nice printing. Merely, one thing that I don't like is the fact that it's printed jetpack. I was kind of hoping for a jetpack piece, like it would have looked so cool. And they could have used it on quite a few other minifigures. There were a good few that they probably could have used it on. Anyway, and then in first place, we have the fifth brother. I think the minifigure looks really, really cool. The kind of aesthetic of it, like the black and dark grey, it just looks really... Doesn't, like, the eyes don't look like him in the show. Maybe slightly inaccurate. But I think the fifth brother in the show doesn't look like him in Rebels, and I think this one is a nice, like, in between them. It works really, really well. And, like, no arm printing, but there wasn't really any necessary. Leg printing is nicely detailed, torso printing. The new torso piece, like, that is... The fact that LEGO have done their own piece for this, just for this minifigure, probably only in this set, is really cool. Like, the Grand Inquisitor, if they ever did more Rebel sets, they could use it, which kind of... makes sense, so that's why they maybe did him. But the helmet piece is really nice. The lightsaber is pretty cool, other than LEGO missed with the blade. But anyway, because it doesn't actually go into the hole if you look at it in the CGI. They messed that up. But anyway, it is a really nice minifigure. Do hope you have enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.